In this lesson, we're diving into the second pass of a Harut dance sequence. We're moving past the blob stage and carving out the specific forms that make Harut Harut. Instead of drawing the flip side from scratch, I'm using a peg to mirror the keyframe. This is a huge time saver. Any on-model tweaks I do here instantly update the flip pose. It ensures Harut looks identical on both sides of the dance without doubling the workload. You might also notice me rotating the canvas quite a bit. Normally you'd use Ctrl-Alt, but I've actually mapped that shortcut to the button on my Wacom pen. Now instead of hunting for keys, I can just click the button under my finger and rotate instantly. It keeps my focus entirely on the drawing. Notice how Harut shifts his weight entirely onto this standing leg. Animation is all about physics. If both legs are carrying equal weight, you can't just lift one leg up without falling over. To get that leg off the ground, he has to shift his center of gravity over the supporting foot first. To check the flow, I'm toggling F and G. These hotkeys jump between drawings rather than frames. It's the digital version of flipping paper in traditional animation. This is the mindset I use while animating. Right here, the body is moving down. But if you imagine a ball with the tail attached, as the ball drops, the tail drags behind and only catches up once the ball hits the bottom. By tilting the head up or letting Harut's ears drag behind the body's descent, we create a chain reaction that gives the movement much more life. Check out the colors here. As the body goes down, they drag upward, resisting the movement. They're being affected by the body's main action, and that contrast in direction is what gives your animation that bouncy and fluid look. One of you asked if I use timing charts in my workflow. Honestly, I don't. Timing charts are primarily a communication tool. They're a roadmap an animator leaves for an assistant or an in-betweener to explain exactly how to space the drawings. Since I handle all my animation myself, including my professional work at WB, from the first rough to the final frame, I don't need to communicate or leave instructions for anyone. Check out this contrast. We have a stretch happening on one side as he's going down, paired with a squash on the other. This creates a natural curve in the spine and helps sell the force of the movement. It's a simple way to add a lot of complexity and meat to your rough animation. This drawing is done, so I'll add it to the flip side and move to the next one. Now the body is shooting up. Because the belly is soft and jiggly, it's going to drag behind the main action. While the chest and shoulders are already reaching the peak, the belly is still being pulled down by inertia. Adding that delay is what makes the character feel like they're made of flesh and bone rather than plastic. In this frame, his body is fully squashed and loaded with energy. Then, this screen right leg blasts the body upward, while the screen left leg shoots out to catch all that returning weight. Another question I get a lot is, do you always use reference? The answer is, it depends on the job. If I'm doing a dance like this, I almost always use reference because dance moves are so specific, and there are complicated moves involved. I might also use it to brainstorm acting ideas for a complex scene, but for the majority of the work I do at WB, I'm working without it. Another question I get all the time is, how long does it take you to animate a scene? And the honest answer is, it depends. If a scene is just 1 second long and a single character, it might take me half a week to get through roughs and cleanup. But if the same second has 2 characters, now I'm essentially animating 2 separate 1-second scenes at once. So that might take me a full week. A viewer asked, if you need to add more in-betweens, do you do that in cleanup or tie-downs? In my workflow, all those decisions are made in the tie-down stage. By the time I move to cleanup, all my in-betweens are already finished. Now once I'm in cleanup, I might make a tiny adjustment to the timing. Maybe take out a frame to make a snap feel faster, or adding a frame to cushion a landing, but for the most part, everything is set and done. You don't want to be finding the animation during cleanup. You should just be tracing the best version of what you've already built. So the stage you're seeing right now is what I consider my rough animation stage. The version you saw at the beginning of this video with the loose black vector lines is what I call the planning stage. Back when animators worked on paper before digital tools, they would often draw tiny thumbnails to plan out the timing and energy of the scene. Then they'd actually Xerox those thumbnails, enlarge them, and place them behind a fresh sheet of animation paper to start their rough pass. My workflow is basically a modern version of that. I use my planning layer as my enlarged thumbnail, and then I build the on-model rough directly over it. And here again, we see the principles of opposition in action. As the body shoots down, the head actually shoots up. Even as I'm deep into the roughs, I'm constantly toggling my reference back to compare. When I see them side by side, I might notice little details I missed or realize I need to push a pose even further to really capture the energy and weight of the original move. That's the beauty of being in the rough stage. Nothing is set in stone. I can shift a limb, exaggerate a curve, or adjust the silhouette right now to get it exactly where I want it before I commit to those final lines. Sometimes you'll see something in a drawing that just isn't working, like the torso on this frame. Instead of just erasing it and hoping for the best, I use a safety method. I'll create a duplicate keyframe of the drawing first. Then I'll delete just the parts I want to edit on the new frame and turn on the onion skin. This lets me see the original version as a guide while I draw the new adjusted version on top. It gives me the freedom to experiment, and once I'm happy with the new look, I just delete the duplicate and keep the fresh drawing. One obstacle that can make hand-drawn animation so difficult, especially when you're starting a new project, is that you need time to learn how to draw the character. Every design has its own specific shorthand and logic. Because I've been drawing Harut for a while now, I've developed that muscle memory. It's a little easier for me to animate him because I'm not fighting the design. I already know how his proportions should look in different angles. If you're struggling with a new character, don't get discouraged. It's just your hand catching up to the design. Once again, I'm spotting something I want to tweak. Looking back at the reference, I can see his head should be angled more towards the camera. I'm going to use the same method from before. Duplicate the drawing, clear out the head, and use the onion skin to guide the new placement. This keeps the energy of the original pose in my peripheral vision while I focus purely on correcting the head angle to match the source. I'm making a few more adjustments here to lock in the movement with the reference. On this frame, I feel like the body needs to shoot up just a little bit higher to hit the peak energy. Then I'm going to have it come down a bit more on the following frame to emphasize the drop. Small tweaks to the head and spacing like this might seem minor, but they're what give the dance its bounce. Since I'm still in the roughs, I can push these arcs now to make sure the final motion is as snappy as possible. When I hit play, I might notice the head is going off model or even changing size. To fix this, I need to bring a solid on-model drawing as close to the broken frame as possible. I'll use a tool called Shift and Trace, or I'll simply copy a good drawing and paste it onto a new frame right next to the one I'm fixing. With the onion skin turned on, I can flip between the two and see exactly where the proportions are drifting. Traditional animators did the exact same thing. They'd unpeg their on-model sheet, slide it directly behind the drawing they were working on, and flip the paper to guide their lines. Whether it's paper or pixels, the goal is the same, maintaining that rock-solid character volume. Alright, here's the final rough pass. I really hope you found some of these tips helpful for your own work.